Oh yeah, watch.
Hello and welcome. We begin with Libya, where the capital Tripoli has been rocked by heavy clashes. At least 6 people have been killed, with local media reporting that an armed group leader was among the dead. This is likely to trigger a major shift in power. Plumes of black smoke rose over Tripoli as gunfire and explosions echoed across the city on Monday night, after fierce fighting broke out between rival armed groups. Armored vehicles rolled out and security forces were deployed as tensions gripped the streets of Tripoli. Clashes have now subsided after a truce being announced, but the situation remains tense. The violence was triggered by reports of the death of Abdel Ghani al-Kikli, now a powerful militia leader who led the group's security stabilization apparatus, or the SSA. Kikli was a dominant figure in Tripoli and had been controlling large parts of the city, including government offices, prisons, and financial institutions.
Onyami Jesus is still my name, and I change it not. You know, one Hollywood actor and the top content creator. Wherever you are, who's Alumozia, Madolumozia, bam, bam, bam. That is, Imi is Ozia, Imi is Evidia, Mani is Henina. Hey, Bunambo, latest update, latest and the highest. That is, Akumili from the source to you now. So, Buloche, Bianso, gather people, borrow chair, and come and listen to this. It is very, very important. More than important. Yes. Hey, nah. If things are happening under the sun, it depends on the one you have witnessed. Act fast. Yes, act very, very fast. You will go whistle. Oh yeah.
We begin with Libya, where the capital Tripoli has been rocked by heavy clashes. At least 6 people have been killed, with local media reporting that an armed group leader was among the dead. This is likely to trigger a major shift in power. Plumes of black smoke rose over Tripoli as gunfire and explosions echoed across the city on Monday night, after fierce fighting broke out between rival armed groups. Armored vehicles rolled out and security forces were deployed as tensions gripped the streets of Tripoli. Clashes have now subsided after a truce being announced, but the situation remains tense. The violence was triggered by reports of the death of Abdel Ghani al-Kikli, now a powerful militia leader who led the group's security stabilization apparatus, or the SSA. Kikli was a dominant figure in Tripoli and had been controlling large parts of the city, including government offices, prisons, and financial institutions. He was often called the de facto king of the capital. Kikli was reported killed under unclear circumstances. Photos of his body circulated online, though not independently verified. But reports of his death set off hours of heavy clashes between his loyalists and rival factions. Soon after the news broke, forces loyal to Prime Minister Abdul Hamid al-Dabeiba took control of Kikli's strongholds. They swept through the SSA's bases, removing symbols, clearing out fighters, and reclaiming key locations, including parts near the central bank. Now, this marks yet another chapter in Libya's long-standing instability, which began after the 2011 uprising that overthrew dictator Mohammed Gaddafi. Now, since 2014, Libya has been divided. Eastern Libya is mostly controlled by the military leader, Khalifa Haftar, and Western Libya, governed by the UN-backed Government of National Unity, or the GNU, and it is headed by Prime Minister Dabeiba. Tripoli itself has been fractured, with multiple militias competing for power. The latest events may now signal a shift, with fewer groups under tighter central control, potentially strengthening Dabeiba's grip on power in the capital. But this power consolidation in the west may also escalate tensions with the east, where Haftar's forces hold Libya's main oil fields. Despite repeated international efforts to end the east-west split and to hold national elections, Libya remains deeply divided. The country has also become a stage for regional power struggles, with Russia, Egypt, and the UAE allegedly backing the eastern faction led by Haftar, while Turkey is supporting Dabeiba's government in the west. How will the latest clashes change the power dynamics in the nation? To discuss further, we have with us Mohammed Al-Jad, who is the co-founder Libya Outlook for Research and Consulting, and he is joining us live from Casablanca, Morocco. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Alison, for having me.
Now, what triggered the latest armed clashes in Tripoli, and how significant is the reported killing of the armed group leader in this escalating violence?
So the new bout of violence in Tripoli has to do with the fact that the Prime Minister of the internationally recognized government, Abdelhamid Dbeiba, wants to maintain his seat of power. Recently, the United Nations, through the advisory technical committee of Libyan experts, came up with plans, if you like, or a number of scenarios of how to end the political stalemate in Libya and form a unified government and move the country to elections. And all of them start with a change in government. The Prime Minister, obviously, of this internationally recognized government, Abdelhamid Dbeiba, wanted to redraw the security and the military scene in Tripoli. And he asked armed groups that are loyal to him to attack other armed groups that are not entirely loyal to him, despite the fact that they are institutionally under his government and they have the legitimacy and are paid by his government and by the executive authority in Tripoli. So this basically was an attempt by the Prime Minister of the internationally recognized government to cling on to his seat of power and to ensure that whatever process that comes through the UN or otherwise would have to come through him, and where he would have to be on the table and decide what kind of government there might be. So this is why we have seen these clashes. It is not because the militia leader was killed. The militia leader was killed because of Dbeiba's orders to his loyal armed group leaders to start moving against the stabilization force, whose leader was assassinated, according to government sources in Tripoli now, that he was assassinated after a meeting with armed group leaders loyal to the Prime Minister of the internationally recognized government.
Right, and how do these clashes reflect the ongoing power struggle between the UN-recognized government in Tripoli and the Haftar-controlled administration in the east?
So it's just to confirm once again that this is an internal Tripoli issue. Khalifa Haftar in the east, or the authorities in eastern Libya, have had nothing to do with this. However, the reason that Abdelhamid Dbeiba is trying to redraw, the Prime Minister of the internationally recognized government, he's trying to redraw the military and security scene in Tripoli and to have monopoly there, so that he becomes the only actor that Haftar would have to deal with if there is going to be a unified government and a unity in Libya, and where the international community, including the United Nations, would have to deal with him. But unfortunately, the plans of the Prime Minister of the international recognized government, Abdelhamid Dbeiba, didn't go as he wanted or as he anticipated, given that he has now faced fierce opposition from other powerful armed groups in Tripoli, like the Rada.
You don't see them, and they have had, yes.